I take pleasure in inviting him and introducing him to you. Sri Shyam Sundar Rao completed his BE in Mechanical Engineering and his MBA, both from Bangalore University. As part of his spiritual inclination, he has studied Bhakti Shastri and Bhakti Vaibhav diplomas to assimilate Vedic wisdom. On the corporate front, he is a sales and marketing professional with a career spanning over 3 decades. He started by managing a territory, later grew to manage state, region, national, and moved into a global role. As part of his corporate experience, he has worked in major corporates.
अगर ये किताब लेनी होगी, इसका दूसरा पेज नहीं है ना इसका?
1995 till date.
अच्छा.
After that, he was
इसका दूसरा पेज नहीं है क्या?
Tata Motors and Wipro Limited. Presently, he is working as global marketing manager.
ये अगर 2 लेंगे तो कितने का पड़ेगा?
His work ethos is driven by values and can-do attitude. He strongly aspires to follow the principles of Bhagwad Gita at both his personal life as well as at corporate front. Now I request Sri Shyam Sundar Rao to kindly begin his session. Sir, you can start now.
Thank you, Dr. Suhas. Let me share my screen. Can you all see?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening. Let's start the session of managing life challenges. The topic today is enhanced leadership skills. And this is from Wisdom of Bhagwad Gita. Thank you everyone for joining this session. It's a matter of privilege and honor to be amongst you in this immersive learning experience. Let's start with the prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Before we actually get into the session, let's read this verse from Gita. This is 18.71. Shraddhavan anasuyascha shrunuyadapi yo naraha so api mukta subha lokan prapnuyat punya karmanam. What does Krishna say to Arjuna? He says, one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reaction and attains to the planets where the pious dwell. That is the importance of listening to Gita. He also talks about preaching Gita. So it's a mutual, you have supported me by listening, and I am getting into the mode of sharing. With this brief, let us start our session from the first slide. What are the contents? We are doing it in 3 parts. First thing is understanding leadership. What is leadership? Then we apply lessons from Gita, how we can enhance our leadership skills. I have covered 4 key skills: goal orientation, lead by example, strive for sense of equanimity, coaching. And then we have the session 3, which is going to be the interactive session to discuss the key takeaways. Now, this is a video. If it plays, I will show. If not, I will skip the slide because I have noticed that there is some problem in the last few minutes. It has come now. Let us see if it plays. It takes a few seconds before it allows me to click play. No. Okay. Now I had prepared myself to this eventuality. If the video doesn't play, let's take a short story from Gita to understand the leadership examples set by Krishna for all of us to follow. This is about Bhishma. So Bhishma was such a ferocious warrior that as the commander-in-chief of Kauravas, he single-handedly fought the Kurukshetra war battle for more than 10 days. And it was such a situation that Pandavas were completely at their wits' end, trying to figure out how can they checkmate Bhishma Pitamaha. Now, this is where the leadership style of Krishna comes into play. So what does Krishna do? Krishna influences Dharmaraya, Yudhishthira, that let's work to a plan. And they visit Bhishma. And they say that we are quite keen, as we represent Dharma, to understand from you what we can do to defeat you in this war. Can you have a more transparent conversation than that between two warring parties? But Bhishma is one of the greatest leaders, and he had high regards, respect, love, affection for Krishna and Pandavas. So what does Bhishma do? Bhishma says, I want the Dharma to win. And you have done the right thing in asking me how I can be defeated. It says, there's only one way I can be defeated, and that is, I will not fight of neither a transgender, of neither a woman nor a man. That's the only exception I make when I'm in a battlefield. So that was the clue that Bhishma gives Dharmaraya and Krishna. So they come back and they do their homework and they present Shikandi the next day, who is a transgender converted to a man. The moment Bhishma sees Shikandi, he throws his weapons down and says that I am not going to fight anymore. And Bhishma had the vow that he was Ichha Marni. He could leave his body anytime he wants. So the learning from this example is how Krishna he allows Bhishma sufficient time to showcase that he is the greatest warrior in this world. And then at the right time, he intervenes, influences Dharmaraya to join him, because it is Pandavas who were fighting the war and not Krishna. And they approach Bhishma and they find a solution through which they have overcome the challenge of Bhishma. So this is the leadership example. Now the video still doesn't look like playing, so let's skip it. Now on the right side, you see the difference statement which says, what is management? Management is doing things right. And what is leadership? Leadership is doing the right things. Play of words, but it makes a huge difference. So we should always be focused in life on value systems. Leadership is about doing the right things and not just taking a shortcut. With this, let's move to the next. Understanding leadership. I have a few quotes from various famous personalities to drive home, to bring alive the concept of what is leadership. We should understand that leadership is something which is innate to all of us. We all have capabilities. We are all leaders in our own right. But there are some things which we need to embed and enhance and learn to improve ourselves. The first quote is from John Maxwell. What does he say? The essence of great leadership is influence, not authority. So that's something which we should get into our thinking process. Second, leadership is action, not position. This is a statement from Donald McGannon. Third, quite easy to recognize, famous personality, Tom Peters. He says, leaders don't create followers, they create more leaders. This gives us a flavor to understand what is leadership all about, what it should be, and what we can make it to be. Let's go further. John Maxwell is the foremost author, speaker, and he has written many books on leadership. So I thought, let's start with his 5 levels of leadership model to just gain an understanding in a very, very simplistic way. What is how a leader is actually perceived. This model very clearly shows 5 levels in this triangle. And on the right side, it also tells, why do people follow you? For a leader, you need to have followers. You need to have disciples. So let's quickly look at what is this. So the first level is position. All of us are in corporate and we know what does position stand for. It's a designation. And what is, why do the people follow you? Because they have to, because of the position. At the second level, you are at permission. This is where you start building relationships. Now, why do people follow you? Because they want to follow you, because you are so focused on establishing a relationship. And relationship is mutual. Someone can follow us only if they have trust in us. And how do we build trust? By being empathetic. Third level of leadership is production. What does production stand for? It stands for producing results. Why do people follow you? Because of what you have done for the organization. From production of results, you move to people development, which is also called as reproduction. Why do people want to follow you? Because you have done a lot for them. You are really known as a people's man. You have the good of all in your mind. Last level, the most evolved level, pinnacle. That's where people respect you. Why do people follow you? Because who you are and what you represent. That's the last stage of it, or the ultimate fifth stage of leadership. This is about John Maxwell's model. And in his book, he mentions sociologists in a survey have indicated that even the most introvert person can influence up to 10,000 or more people during his lifetime. That's the statement, that's the data that John shares in his leadership book. So this is the power of influence. So one learning we all have to take home is, in trying to manage our life challenges, we must acknowledge that we are leaders by our own right, and we have to fine-tune, sharpen the saw, sharpen the axe in terms of trying to improve our influential skills. Let's look at the other model, because we are talking about wisdom from Gita today. So this is a model which is from Sri Chaitanya Charan Prabhu from ISKCON. He defines this as the lead model, lead from a leader. What does it stand for? L. L stands for learning. And so just look into this model, we understand that learning is a continuous journey. And we should be aware and conscious that we have to learn from life. Play of words, learn to learn from life. Make this universe a university of learning. You don't have to really look at only books, scriptures to gain knowledge, to learn. This universe is a university of learning. Every moment is an opportunity to grow in wisdom and love. Learning is the purpose of life. That's leadership. Learning never stops. Second, E, from the word lead. What is E? E stands for, I have used the three words to kind of explain how important is E in this lead model. It is talking about enlarging your vision, extending the horizon, expanding the continuum. So we must be aware, we must understand, expand our conception of self. We as a person stand for something, represent some value, and we have to discover that. We must be conscious that destiny is bigger than our grasp. So what is that of self which we all feel are very important? I have listed two points. Work. Work is worship. We all focus on work, and our major part of the life is spent in working. And when we work, the Gita wisdom tells us you should focus on commitment than achievement. Very, very important learning, building block. Focus on commitment than achievement. This is the first aspect of knowing about self. The second aspect is success. Why do we work? We all work for success. Now, in the Gita wisdom, even success is defined in a very philosophical way. Success is set goals, but don't be attached to results. This is Nishkama Karma Yoga. A, we are moving into the third letter of the word lead. What does A stand for? Acknowledge, appreciate. Words shape the world. We should always try to connect and listen. And I am trying to paint this picture because, I see most of the times a person is spoken of highly when he's no more amongst us. Why do we do this? Why can't we follow Gita wisdom and inculcate in ourselves the habit of appreciating every small moment of joy? Acknowledge, appreciate, pat your backs, pat others' back. That's the way of life to be a good leader. T, decide, decision, determination, discovery. All these connote, bring home that how important it is to decide in life. When you decide, we must be conscious and aware. What is in our control? Those things we can manage. Now, this is something which is Gita wisdom, which will help us to make ourselves to be a better leader. There are factors which we can control. There are factors which we can indirectly control. They are not really under our direct control. So that's the second fact. And third, no control. Life is about challenges where many times we have no answers to the challenges that are thrown up at us. So once you are aware of these three factors, then you are holistic when you make a decision. Don't give up easily and try to see what is the possible solution out of a given situation. And that's why John Maxwell says, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And in the Gita model brought alive by Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, he says, lead is the essence of leadership. Let's move to okay. If I have to summarize this slide, what does it say? Both models, you have the Western model, you have the Eastern model of Gita. Leaders lead, show the way, and they set an example. Now, let's go further. Gita is a vast treasure house of knowledge. It's not possible for us to compress in this 50 minutes or so the entire possible essence of leadership learning. So what I have tried to do is to try and give you glimpses of most important facts, most important building blocks for enhancing our leadership skills, which can help us manage our life challenges. So I have taken two key points. First is selfless action, which Krishna calls Nishkama Karma Yoga in Gita. Let's look at what is Nishkama Karma Yoga. This is, and these two things, Nishkama Karma Yoga and Sthita Prajna, which we'll discuss in detail, are the two pillars of self-development. And self-development is the key to leadership. It unlocks leadership, it develops leadership. So what is Nishkama Karma Yoga? Gita 2.47 is a very famous verse. Most of us know this. And it gives a very nice definition of Nishkama Karma Yoga. In short, it is selfless action. I will work in detached spirit. All of us should take home this learning. What is the purpose of action? Any action we want to grow in wisdom. That should be the focus, not just acquisition of fruit. Result is an outcome. That should not be the only goal. Focus on giving the best. That's the essence of this verse 2.47. It says, do not be attached to the results or outcome. Let's go to the verse line by line. Karmanyavadikaraste. First famous line. Most of us know this from childhood. What does it say? It says you have a right to do the work because each one of us is assigned a particular prescribed duty. as a student, or the working man, working woman, a householder, whatever be the role you are into, you have a prescribed duty. So what is our right? Right to do our work in our path, in our chosen profession. Don't become emotional. Don't become dependent on the result. Don't make the result the motivation of your action. That's the key learning from Karmanyavadikaraste. Second line says, Ma phaleshu kadachanaha. Do not get caught up. Don't be obsessed with the result. We don't have right for fruits of our karma. Most of us are not aware of this fact of Gita, which Gita wisdom brings alive. We have a right to action, but we have no right for the fruits of our action. Very difficult to digest, very difficult to accept. But that is the Gita wisdom. And if we are able to do this, then we will be moving quite well on the path of self-development. Third line of this verse, Ma phaleshu kadachanaha. What does it stand for? It says, oh, sorry, I have to be in the third line. Ma karma phala hetu. What does it stand for? Do not demand the fruit. I have studied well. I write the exam. Can you demand that I need a distinction? No. It depends on so many other factors. Do not think that you are the only cause of result. That's the most important learning in this line. Ma karma phala hetu. Now, let's try to give an example and understand this through an example. Now, cricket is a religion in India. Most of us are ardent cricket fans. Let's create a very, very interesting nail-biting situation. It's the World Cup final. You have India, and let's take whichever team that comes to our mind as our opponent. The last ball is due. The last ball has to be bowled. And we have the world's best batsman batting for India. And that's, let's say, for example, Mr. Kohli. And one ball, you need 6 runs to win the match. If you don't score a 6, you have lost the match. Now, in this situation, you can understand what Krishna says. Ma karma phala hetu. Do not think that you are the only cause of action. Why does he say that? Now, we know Kohli is the best batsman in the world. Kohli has a tremendous track record of performance. If there is anyone in this world who can hit that 6 of that last ball, it is Mr. Kohli. But can anyone say for sure, with confidence, with conviction, that yes, he will hit the ball for a 6? No way. It's a probability. Why? Because the ability and the probability of Kohli hitting a 6 doesn't depend only on his skill. It depends upon his reflex at that moment. It depends on the bowler. It depends on the type of ball that he is going to bowl. It depends on the fielders. And it depends on the skill, will, motivation of all the 3 players on the ground at that point in time. This is the essence of Ma karma phala hetu. Success is a probability. You can never be sure of, yes, it will happen. It has to happen. Great learning to take home. Last line, Mate sangostu akarmani. It says, do not be attached to inactivity, because inactivity is not an option in any situation of life. Let's take a baby which is born. The moment it comes out of the mother's womb, what does it do? It cries. It is normal baby only if it cries. What is crying? Crying is action. So the action starts from the first breath of life. So Krishna says, do not ever have this impression or thought or desire, Arjuna, that I don't want to fight my relatives and I will retire to the forest and I will walk away from this battlefield. I'm not interested in this kingdom. So inaction is not an option for any of us. So this is Nishkama Karma Yoga for us. And the entire approach of Gita is decision making. The whole Gita had only one decision to be made, and that was by Arjuna. And what was the decision? Shall I fight or I shall not fight? So that shows the essence of selfless action. Let's move to the second pillar of self-development. Sthita Prajna. We'll discuss this in detail in the other coming slides also. So Sthita Prajna means a man of steady wisdom, steady intelligence. He has no desires. He is contented in himself. I hit a 6, I'm happy. I don't hit a 6, even then I'm happy. That is Sthita Prajna. So what is it anything to do with the result? No. Whatever result, I am willing to accept that. That is the nature of a Sthita Prajna. He is tranquil, and Krishna in Gita gives an example to Arjuna about the ocean. He says, we all look at the ocean, and what's an ocean? Ocean has numerous rivers flowing into them continuously. What does the ocean do? Does it ever overflow? Does it ever say, I want this, I don't want this? Does it make a choice? No. Life is all about flowing. So the ocean allows the rivers to flow and merge. The same thing is Krishna telling us, mind control, steady intelligence, man of wisdom does behave or does try to imbibe the attributes of an ocean. Allow the desires, allow the challenges to flow and merge within you. Do not get agitated. Does the ocean overflow because there is a lot of water because of heavy rains? No. The ocean maintains its level as it is. That is the nature of Sthita Prajna. And in our lives to be a Sthita Prajna, what is critical? Krishna counsels Arjuna, control of mind is key to achieve wisdom and steady intelligence. I came across a very nice acronym of mind, because control of mind is so critical for us to embrace leadership skills based on Gita wisdom. What does mind stand for? M, it generally magnifies the problems. We are good at making mountain of a molehill. We should be aware of this. I, it imagines pleasures. I see someone driving a BMW and I feel that I should own a BMW. And what's the connect in my mind? BMW equals pleasure. The car that you have at home currently is of no consequence. What excites you is the imaginary pleasure of owning a BMW. And neglects opportunities. Whenever you have an opportunity to achieve your task without getting into a conflict, generally that's not acceptable to us. Now, I can buy a Maruti Suzuki car, but no, that's what the funds I have. I would like to buy a BMW, which is beyond my budget. So opportunity to be mobile by buying a car is not the essence. Getting tempted by buying a car beyond the budget is what excites the mind. So that is neglecting opportunities. Do what you can do. Don't aspire for what you cannot, what is beyond your reach. D, denies reality. Whatever be the situation, you always want to stretch yourself to achieve what is beyond you. So self-improvement is such an important factor for any leader, for all of us to evolve in our leadership development journey. So learning new skills is part of life, self-improvement. What does learning help us? What does control of mind help us? It helps us get emotional intelligence. We are self-aware, we know how to manage ourselves, we are socially aware, and we are continuously trying to improve managing relationships. When we do this, we are helping develop skills of motivating ourselves through self-development, and that has a rub-off effect in terms of motivating others. Again, I came across a very nice formula which represents what I said so far in short one equation. It says ability into motivation is equal to performance. That's the importance of self-development. We move to the next. Now, as I said, Gita is a treasure house of wisdom. We can learn, what you can say, the learnings are infinite in nature. So, given the limitation of time, I have decided we will look at 4 key skills to focus on: goal orientation, sense of equanimity, lead by example, coaching. Let's start with goal orientation. I quote this verse chapter 4, verse 8. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Translation: to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. Now, as a leader, look at Krishna's 3 goals. He is very clear. Paritranaya sadhunam, welfare of the good. I stand for the virtuous. Vinashaya dushkritam, destroy evil, destroy viciousness. Dharma samsthapanarthaya, I stand for dharma, upholding religious values. Establish, strengthen good principles. Let's see how this evolves, how Krishna brings this alive, and what all he does to stick to his goal. He is goal-oriented from chapter 1 to chapter 18. He never wavers in his focus. So first thing is, as a leader, we should aspire to have a goal like Krishna. Have a vision. That's the starting step. And he did not make any less effort to avoid the war. That's another key learning here. He tries his best to seek reason with Kauravas, try to engage Duryodhana, saying that don't fight. Fighting can lead to a lot of destruction. But Kauravas were adamant. They said nothing doing. We are not interested in any peace. We want war. We want to acquire the kingdom by fighting Pandavas. Now, so the war had become unavoidable, inevitable. Now, look at how Krishna chooses his resources. Now, as a manager, as a leader, we must do resource management, talent acquisition, talent management. So he chooses Pandavas. So he had 2 options, Pandavas and Kauravas. But why did he choose Pandavas? Because that was aligned to his goal, welfare of the good. What do Pandavas represent? They represent virtuosity. They are pious. They stand for the right. They never try to steal which belongs to someone else. That is their character. What is the let us say the description of Kauravas? What is the character of Kauravas? Like we read or studied in the session yesterday. Kauravas were greedy, ambitious, and vicious. Any price will do as long as I'm able to be victorious. That's the difference. So what does Krishna stand as per his goal? I will support welfare of the good. That's why he chooses Pandavas and he supports them and he takes their size. So he identifies who is the best aligned to deliver his goal and start supporting them. Then he allows Pandavas to lead from the front. It's not that leader has to be always seen. It's not like that, without Krishna being in the forefront, we don't attach that value, so much of value to Krishna. He was unseen, unheard, silently running, but still he was leading the show. That's the style of a leader, a true leader. And to make this battle a battle between the right and the evil, he also declares, I will not use arms, I will not combat, I will not fight in this war. So he has got a goal of destroying evil, but he says, I will get it done through my team and I will not directly involve myself. And by doing this, he unlocks the potential that existed on the side of Pandavas. Now, is this the end? Now he says, I want to establish and strengthen good principles. What is that good principle? He wants to reciprocate love because the Pandavas always were standing for the right. So that was their value system. So he says, you show me love by following my guidelines, I reciprocate love. And how does he reciprocate love? Because by appreciating, encouraging, and empowering them. Because Krishna empowered the Pandavas, they were much better placed than the Kauravas to win the war. And what did he do with the Kauravas? He disempowered them. What does Krishna do to achieve his goal? He inspires deference and deterrence. Deference means respect for principles of civilized living. What are the principles? Goodness, truthfulness, mercy, sobriety, honesty. These are all the good characters of life. And he wanted to support that. What is deterrence? Kauravas always had it at the back of their mind that this is a battle which is not going to be easy to win, in spite of having the best resources on their side compared to Pandavas. And when you are on the path of viciousness, then you always have that fear lurking in your heart. And that was what happening to Kauravas. So this is how goal orientation becomes the first step, the first skill that we have to embed in our journey of leadership. Let's look at Gita. Why is it so appealing? Why it rivets our attention in when it starts giving and the lessons that it uses on leadership development. What does this photograph indicate? The battlefield has turned into a classroom. Amazing, isn't it? We all feel that, no, we go through tremendous stress situations in our working lives, but can we come anywhere closer to a battlefield turning into a classroom? That is where Gita was spoken. So in spite of immense stress, possibility of immense destruction, Krishna's leadership skills, he is a leader par excellence. He faces a situation when Arjuna, it's like all of us have a team where we have high performers, top performers. And Arjuna was the top performer of Pandavas. He was the world's best archer. And what happened to him when they reached the battlefield? Arjuna suffers a performance breakdown. He is aghast. He is emotional. And he says, I don't want to fight. Can you have a more crisis situation than that? What did Krishna do? He says, fine, adversity is part of life. He said, let me take the bull by the horn. He knew that Arjuna is a candidate, is a potential leader. All that has happened is he has suffered a bout of nerves. So there's no judgment that is required to chastise Arjuna. It is the model of development that Krishna adopts here. He says, let me walk Arjuna through out of this confusion. So he deals like an expert with this crisis. And he sees this opportunity. He seizes the opportunity. Not only sees the opportunity, he seizes the opportunity to bring alive the Gita wisdom, not only to Arjuna, but to the entire human mankind for times to come. That's why Krishna is known as Sarvajna. And what does Krishna do? Krishna adopts situational style of leadership. I have noted or I have enlisted 3 parts to this. He manages emotions of Arjuna. He coaches him as to how he should overcome his confusion. And then he delegates and says, Arjuna, now it's your battle to fight and win. How does he manage? He listens carefully to Arjuna in chapter 1. Arjuna pours out his heart and he says that I am completely confused. I will not fight. It's crisis. Now Krishna holds Arjuna's hands and says, let me coach you out of this situation. And what does he do? He counsels him. And chapter 2, he talks about Atma Gyan. He gives him enough and more information to digest, saying that it is your thinking that is wrong. It is not actually wrong. Please realize this. So it was not about Arjuna's inability to understand. It was Arjuna's emotion which made him suffer that bout of nervous breakdown. What was his dilemma? I don't want to fight my own relatives. I don't want to fight my own grandfather. That was where he was. So he coaches him in chapter 2. And from chapter 2 onwards, till 18th chapter, it is hand-holding Arjuna, giving him one input after another. And by the time we are in chapter 18, Arjuna has made his decision. So he moves Arjuna from confusion to clarity. That is the essence of leadership. So Krishna imbibes, stands as an outstanding leader par excellence. All the skills that he demonstrates are worthy of emulation. So I summarize this entire slide by saying Krishna speaks Gita to Arjuna and leads him from clarity to confusion to decide on the right course of action. That is the dilemma. It's not that Arjuna did not want to fight, but Arjuna did not want to fight his own relatives. That was the dilemma. And he offers great situational leadership insights. Manage, coach, delegate. And thanks to this, we are blessed with 18 chapters of Gita with 700 verses. What happens at the end? Arjuna is intellectually illumined, spiritually strengthened, emotionally enlivened. He influences Arjuna to overcome his mental confusion, moral dilemma, and follow Krishna's instructions. That is leadership in action. That is the ability to influence. That is how we should aspire to be a good leader in our lives. Now, whenever I describe this, the question in your mind is, if this is good management, this is good leadership, what is not good leadership? Let's contrast this with Duryodhana's style of leadership. Duryodhana comes from a master style of leadership. He believed in command and control. Coaching was not part of his dictionary, nor part of his inventory. He believed in showing off his strengths, arrogance, overconfidence. In 1.08, he says, there are personalities like you, Bhishma, Karna, Krupa, Ashwadhama, Vikarna, son of Somadatta, called Gurushrava, who are always victorious in battle. He never made an attempt to assess competition strength. Why? Because in his mind, he said, I have 11 divisions of army to fight versus 7 of Pandavas. I am numerically overwhelmingly superior. In 1.10, he says, our strength is immeasurable and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhima, is limited. He underestimates the strength of competition. So these two contrasts I bring to highlight what leadership style can be effective. Duryodhana had the world's best resources at his command, but his leadership style was wrong. Pandavas had lowest or lesser resources at their command, but they had Krishna on their side, who was the world's best leader. And that the leadership is what makes the difference in either winning or losing. So with this, let's come to the first break of 2 minutes. Let's reflect and assimilate all that we have discussed. And after 2 weeks, we will rejoin the session. And as we are having the break, let me play this video if it plays. I don't think it is playing. So let's take this break.
Excuse me, sir.
I think we have completed our 2 minutes. Let's come back. I hope you're all refreshed. You have reflected on the learning so far, and let's continue the session. The next, can I start or?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Perfect. So the next skill we would like to focus on, discuss, is lead by example. This is something which all of us have to imbibe, allow it to sink in, and try to practice. That's the way we can help manage life challenges, by understanding this, how Krishna gives this example to Arjuna. The verse 3.21 is a very, very important verse of Gita. It says, Yad yad acharati shreshtas tat tad evetaro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. What is the translation? Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. Very, I would say, profound insight that Krishna is giving Arjuna. What is the context? Why does Krishna tell this to Arjuna? And why is this such an important learning for all of us? Lead by example. He says, the context is, Arjuna is the most feared archer on the battlefield. The enemy camps tremble at his very sight. Given this reputation, if Arjuna sticks to his stand that, I don't want to fight for various emotional reasons, and gives up the battlefield, then what will the common men think? They will think that Arjuna is a coward. Nobody will remember what was Arjuna's glory in the past. All that matters is what he did on the battlefield on that particular day. He came to the battlefield and he dropped his arms and he left the battlefield. So Krishna says, please be aware that this is what is the inbuilt, innate nature of leadership. Whatever you do becomes an example for others to emulate. That's the essence that Krishna is telling Arjuna. Don't be hasty in your decision making. Because nobody would like to emulate a coward's behavior. Everybody would like to emulate Arjuna's courage, chivalry, archery skills. That is what people would like to emulate, not his cowardly action, cowardly decision of walking away from the battlefield. That's why Krishna makes this statement, gives this insight. He says, what is the essence? Why is Krishna saying this? Again, if you have to understand this in layman terms, we cannot as a leader afford to act in an isolated, selfish, self-obsessed, self-concerned way, focusing only on our good. That is not leadership. We have to always be cautious, conscious of what is the effect on others. And we have to behave in an exemplary way. That is leadership. Leadership does not have the luxury of doing what he wants, when he wants, as he wants. Not possible. Then you are not a leader. Now, so this is how Krishna is trying to coach Arjuna to come out of this hasty decision of quitting the battlefield. Similarly, we have to take this learning within ourselves. We have to manage our life challenges, apply this leadership skill in our lives. That's what's going to make us a better leader. That's what is going to enhance our leadership skills. And we have in our formative years, we have seen our parents, teachers, and in the past we had kings who were all or who are all natural leaders in the society. And these people create formative influences. If they set good example, people will be molded accordingly. If you are a Dharmraya, known for upholding Dharma, people will emulate you, people will remember you. Will anyone remember Duryodhana or emulate Duryodhana or Dhritarashtra? No way. That is the responsibility on the shoulders of a leader. What does this verse tell us further? He says, you set an example, and while saying so, what is the style of leadership that Krishna adopts? A very, very important learning for any of us. Krishna adopts servant model of leadership. In the last slides, we just discussed the master model of leadership, which was displayed by Duryodhana, command and control. What does Krishna do? Krishna adopts the servant model of leadership. What does he do? He offers himself to be the charioteer of Arjuna. That shows the humility that a leader has. That shows what was Krishna's mental makeup. He was humble to the core. And once in the role, he was completely committed. That's the essence of leadership. Now, why do I say this? Why do I emphasize this characteristic of leadership model of Krishna? Because now, remember, imagine you're in the battlefield. There is huge roaring noise around. How do you communicate with your charioteer? It's a challenge. You don't have a mobile phone. You don't have a walkie-talkie. Those things did not exist in this form those days. But wars were fought, and Krishna was willing to live the role as a charioteer. So he tells Arjuna, there's only one way that we can effectively communicate with each other. And what is that way? Listen carefully. He says, kick me on my left shoulder if you want me to turn the chariot to the left. Kick me on the right shoulder if you want me to turn the chariot to the right. And if you want me to stop the chariot, kick me on my back. Can anyone imagine the kind of effective communication that Krishna personified? This is the essence of leadership. He says, it may look demeaning that, I am asking you to kick me, but that's not the point. The point is, in the battlefield, what is the objective? Objective is fighting at the best of our ability. And Krishna, as the charioteer, had to play that role. He had to move Arjuna in various corners of the battlefield at the, let's say, hint of movement from Arjuna. Effective instant communication. You can't afford to make an error. And that's what Krishna was able to achieve by giving Arjuna this model of communication. What a learning for all of us. Try and be effective in your communications. Connect with our teams so that there is no room for confusion, no room for speculation. Krishna will never think that, oh, did Arjuna ask me to go to the left or Arjuna asked me to go to the right? It's very clear. Left shoulder, left, right shoulder, right. Imagine Robert Greenleaf, a management expert, coined the term servant leader in 1970, where he wrote an essay, The Servant as a Leader. But this model of leadership was shown by Krishna 5,000 years back. Contrast this with Dhritarashtra's style of leadership. Dhritarashtra was also leader. He was the king of the kingdom, and it was his own prince, son, Duryodhana, who was the cause of this battlefield. But what was the motivating factor in Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra's mind? He was obsessed in gaining kingdom for his son. Come what may. He was not really worried about what is the cost of acquisition of this kingdom. Millions of people had to die, so be it. It has to cause a lot of pain to humanity, so be it. If I have to fight my own relatives, so be it. This is what is the learning for us from this verse. You have options. Either follow the servant model of leadership shown by Krishna, or follow the master selfish model of leadership shown by Dhritarashtra. He was no mean a person. He was as good a leader as any, but it was just his thinking and his style of leadership which caused his downfall. Then these are the examples that we have to embed in our leadership journey. Now, we are all corporate students. We want to learn the essence of leadership from Gita and apply it in managing our life challenges. If this is our objective, let me share an example of how we can do this in our day-to-day lives. Advertising is something which we are all familiar with. We are bombarded with advertisements. Once we open the TV, radio, your net, any site, you have bombarding of advertisements. Why is this done? This learning comes from Yad Yad Acharati Shreshtas. And celebrity endorsement is the most often used method for making common men by influence common men. So the leadership is not just about what happened in Gita. The essence of that applies to us in our day-to-day lives. So what is the connection? If a celebrity endorses a pen, a car, a mobile, whatever, the common man feels, oh wow, this man, a celebrity, he is endorsing this product. It means I have a chance by buying this product also to be a celebrity in my life. This is how emulation happens. Why a leader should be careful? Because of this innocence, ignorance of the followers. They do things without much thinking. That's why you should be leading by example and be a role model. And what does a celebrity do? Celebrity lends his name in the field of advertising for monetary gain. But the principal essence is what the celebrity says, the common man follows. Now, another example. Let's look at business leaders, because we are from the corporate world, like Azeem Hassan Premji or Ratan Tata, who, and when they speak, we listen carefully. Why is that? Because they have set an example. Yad yad achar tristestas, tad tad evetaro janaha. And what is their example? They are perfect examples of simple living, high thinking. So that is the essence of leading by example. Gandhi said, a famous quote, be the change you want to see in the world. Any number of statements, any number of preaching efforts will not give you the desired results if you do not follow that in your life. What is the essence of learning in this discussion? Enhance our leadership skills by leading by example. Walk the talk. Leaders are social torchbearers. They have a tremendous influence on the society. And you as a leader must strive for a sense of equanimity. I use these words because our next learning, the next leadership skill is about equanimity. Enhance sense of equanimity. Let's look at the verse. In chapter 2, verse 14, Krishna says, Matra sparshastu kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkada agama apaino anityas tam titiksha svabharata. What's the translation? He says, O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O sign of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. What a profound statement, full of insights, essence of leadership in one sloka of 4 lines. What is saying? Equanimity. What is equanimity? One who does not lose patience during both favorable and unfavorable circumstances. This links back to self-development. We touched upon this in Sthita Prajna in the earlier side. Krishna talks for 18 verses from 2.54 to 2.72 to focus exclusively on this aspect of leadership. Control your mind, control your senses, be a man of steady wisdom. The biggest problem that leaders face today is our inability to take bad outcomes as it unfolds at times. When everything goes well, any leader can do well. Now, let's say COVID. Who had anticipated COVID is going to envelop the whole world as a pandemic? It was talked about, but then when it really happens, it tested every leader's mettle. That is what is the essence. Be prepared for facing challenges without saying, oh, why it had to happen during my lifetime as a leader. If only I had been given a good occasion, good opportunity, I would have demonstrated my leadership skills. That's not the way life is. A leader has to be immersed, swimming in the water, in the direction of the flow of current. You cannot say, I wish the flow of current was opposite to what it is. This is what is the learning that Krishna is saying to Arjuna. Be always, maintain, cultivate a sense of equanimity. And how do we manage this? Is there a lesson in managing external world, or is there a lesson in managing the internal self? Krishna says, you have to tolerate this. You cannot change the world. It is not in your control. You change yourself. Learn to tolerate the pandemic, the challenges, the miseries that come our way, that come in our lives. It is inevitable. Now, most leadership theories do not talk much about Sthita Prajna or man of steady wisdom. That is the differentiation or the uniqueness of Gita wisdom. Because Krishna, he drives home this point in not only second chapter, he touches upon it time and again throughout Gita. And why does he say this? What is the background to this? He says, this world is full of dualities. Why does he mention happiness, distress, winter, summer? These are things which are happening in our lives. This world is full of dualities. You have rich, you have poor. You have big, you have small. You have happy, you have distress. So this goes together. And if you are aware of this, then you will say that I don't want to imagine an ideal imaginary situation to demonstrate my leadership skills. I would rather stand up and demonstrate leadership skills in this world amidst the challenges. That's the essence of equanimity. Most of us in our learning, in our schooling, in our college educations, we are mostly fed with the good facts of life. Do this, do that, you will achieve growth and you're on top of the world. But what is missing is this sense of anticipating that things will go wrong. We can never be enough and we can never be fully prepared. Anticipate the unexpected to happen. And when the unexpected happens, what Krishna is asking Arjuna to show? Sense of equanimity. Now, since we don't have the skill in a sufficient measure, what does it reflect in our society? Where we find it difficult to manage the life challenges, we get into health problems, psychological counseling, in some extreme cases, suicide. Why are all this happening? Because we are not tuned, we are not used to developing this skill, this leadership insight of having equanimity. Now, when great things happen, we are all excited. So great things lead to excitement. But leadership is not about excitement. Leadership is all about execution. Come what may, we have to achieve our goal. That is execution. That is equanimity. Now, just to drive home this point, let's take a simple example. Why equanimity is so important and how we can imbibe that in our lives in a simple manner. Let's say we were planning a picnic and the picnic is over the weekend. And on Friday night, the health deteriorates. week he developed a fever and unable to go to the picnic. The entire team leaves for the picnic and they have a gala time. Now, having fever is reality. Missing the picnic is the challenge, leading to disappointment. Is it the fever which causes the disappointment, or the resentment towards having fever that causes disappointment? If you reflect, if you analyze, it's not the fever, because the fever can be cured. Take medicines and you'll be perfectly okay. It's a physical thing. But what is more important is the mental resentment that you have towards reality. That hurts us more. That causes mental agony. That leads to health issues. So, and it builds negativity in us. That's why Krishna says, have a sense of equanimity to accept the negative. Do not resent the reality, accept the reality. To summarize, what does equanimity do? It helps to master the art of handling external world challenges by managing within very well. Where does the resentment reside? It resides within. It's not outside. Where does the fever reside? It resides within. But fever can be cured because it is a physical illness. But resentment is more difficult to overcome. And that can be done through practice of equanimity. Recognize the dualities that exist around. Do not try to challenge the reality. Resentment of reality hurts more than reality. Let's move to the fourth skill. This is coaching. And this is verse 17, chapter 17, verse 16. Mana prasada saumyatvam maunam atma vinigraha bhava samshuddhir iti eta tapo manasam uchyate. And satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purifications of one existence are the austerities of the mind. Such a powerful verse on control of mind. And Krishna does this through the management skill of coaching. He identifies, it's not that Arjuna is afraid of his enemy. It's not that Arjuna does not want to fight. It is just that there is a state of mind in which he has gotten himself into, like we started resenting our fever because it was unexpected. Similarly, Arjuna has got into a war between emotion and reason. What is the emotion? The emotion is, how do I fight my great-grandfather Bhishma, my teacher Drona? This was emotion on one side of the mind. And reason, what is the reason? I am a Kshatriya. I am in the battlefield. I must execute my duty of fighting the war. So which wins between the two? Is it emotion or reason? Not difficult to guess. It's emotion which wins, and that puts him in a strong stranglehold. He's caught by emotions than getting into execution, like we learned in last verse. He lost his sense of equanimity. And that's why Krishna had to coach and says that look at things at the right perspective. Cultivate satisfaction as a mental discipline. You cannot change the relationship equation. Both of you, as Kauravas and Pandavas, have decided to fight a fratricidal war. After reaching the battlefield, you can't have second thoughts. That's the essence of what Krishna is trying to coach Arjuna. Come out of this emotional reasoning. See this world as it is. Don't try to put a colored glass and say, oh, well, the world had to be in a different way. Not possible. In the, one of the favorite quotes from Hamlet I would like to bring here. There is nothing good. There is nothing either good or bad. But thinking makes it so. This was exactly the situation of Arjuna. It is his thinking, it is his reason to lament which put him in this emotional stranglehold. And Krishna, what is Krishna trying to tell Arjuna? He says, value what you are endowed with. Value your fighting skills, value the pride that you are a Pandava, value that you are leading this charge against your opponents. That is what you have. That is your strength. But don't try to be a slave of your emotions and, which is trying to infatuate you and blind you. And you are saying, I will drop the weapons and leave the battlefield. So what does Krishna do in this time? What is his coaching style? Why it is so important? Because he turns the tide of sentiments, which was like an opponent in the mind of Krishna, to style or to a mode of assistant. He turns the opponent model of emotions to mental reason of assistance, and he says, okay, in 18th chapter, Krishna says, I will fight this war. I will do as you say. That is the essence of coaching. That is the success. So, what is the essence of this particular verse? It says, Manasika tapas. What is mana prasada? Prasada is satisfaction. It is a cheerful attitude towards situation in life. Raise yourself through your mind. Satisfaction is not just an emotion. We should realize that satisfaction is a decision. Why do we say this? Let's say my relative has a bigger house. What is in my hand? I can say that I don't have a bigger house, but I'm satisfied in living in the house that I have. So satisfaction is a decision. It's not a choice. That's what Krishna is saying. Be satisfied that you're in the battlefield. Be satisfied that you are blessed with the best archery skills. Be satisfied to discharge your duty and fight the battle and win the battle if you can. So conscious, consistent cultivation of mind holds the key. That is the mantra for Arjuna. That's the mantra for all of us. I quote this famous verse from Stephen Covey. He says, sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. Sow a character, reap a destiny. That's the power of right thinking. Right thinking triggers right action and result. Let me summarize. So now this is a very important equation again. Mind management. So we talked so much about mind management. So if I have to put this as an equation, mind management, keep mind as constant. From the management, drop the T. What do you get? You get management. From management, drop the N. What do you get? You get manage me. So mind management is about how you manage yourself and how you manage others' emotions. Don't let emotion override reason. So correct thinking triggers right action and result. Krishna urges Arjuna to cultivate satisfaction as a mental discipline. We just we just discussed, satisfaction is a decision. It's a choice that we have to make. With this, we have completed the 4 skills of leadership development and how we can enhance leadership skills. Let me quickly summarize. What did we learn in these few slides? We learned about the lead model based on Gita. First time discussed by Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. What does lead stand for? L, learning. E, expand, extend. A, appreciate. And D is decision. 2 pillars of self-development. Self-development is the key, the building block, the pillar of leadership. Nishkama Karma Yoga, that is selfless action, and control of mind, Sthita Prajna. These form the 2 pillars of self-development. What is self-development? If you have to understand in a very simplistic way, it is ability into motivation is equal to performance. These are things which are distilled wisdom. It's not just not knowledge. What are the 4 leadership skills that we learned, which we have to enhance, embrace, embed in our lives to embrace and manage the life's challenges? Goal orientation, lead by example, sense of equanimity, coaching. And what is mind management? Management. If you drop the T, it is management. If you drop the N, it is manage me. Thank you very much. So we come to the end of the second session. Now we enter the interactive session. This is the last step of our session today. I will pose 3 questions to the audience and we will interact, discuss, and after this we have a question and answer session and we will take that forward. What is the first question? Name 4 important skills we discussed for enhancing leadership skills. What are the 3 steps of situational leadership followed by Krishna to lead Arjuna from confusion to clarity? This is question 1. If you know the answers, think about it, raise your hands. Difference between management and leadership. Name one leader who inspires you and what attracts you to him. In fact, okay. Expand, lead. Is commitment important or achievement? These are the three questions. How much time we should give, madam, for the audience to be prepared?
I think we are running late today. It is already 8:20.
Okay.
So I think if you can question even one, they can give a short answer.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think little it went extra time, your session.
Okay.
So it will depend on these participants if they are willing to. You can take maybe one of them or two of them can answer and.
Okay. So let me expand. Okay, since we have shortage of time, I will come to the answer of expand, lead. What is lead? L is learning, E is extend, expand, embrace, enlarge, A is appreciate, acknowledge, D is decide, delegate. Is commitment important or achievement? We learn from Nishkama Karma Yoga, selfless action, work for action. So commitment is working for action, achievement is working for results. The answer to this question is commitment is more important than achievement. We are rushing through this question answer session because of lack of time. I think I have overshot my given time slot. If there is any one or two questions, I don't mind. If not, we'll wind up the session.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you for this wonderful session. Sir, are you listening to me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sir, I have a question that I'm a student. So how can I develop the art of detachment towards my studies, like not bound with results, only studying and enjoy my task?
Very good question. As a student, all of us have this challenge, and the learning that we can apply to this question in form of an answer is don't be attached, don't be too focused on what is going to be your marks, what is going to be your result. Enjoy the learning. It's not that you're not interested in doing well. All of us have this burning desire to be the best in the exams, earn the good marks, pass out with distinction. That's the result. So either you're only focused on results and lose the joy of learning, or balance, enjoy the pleasure of learning, do your best, focus on action. That's your commitment. And you may have expected, let's say, I would have got 90 out of 100, but then you get only 80 out of 100. Is it the end of the world? It's not end of the world. Embrace that 80 out of 100, saying that I did my best. Maybe there were people who were better than me who still scored 90 out of 100. It is no reflection on me, on my efforts. That's the answer.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, on which YouTube channel like this session will be posted? Can you please tell me?
Sorry, repeat that again.
Sir, on which YouTube channel?
Yes, we will be posting this on the YouTube channel. Am I right, madam?
Yeah,
What is
we'll
the
put
name
it
of
shortly. No, we will do it in our institute media. We'll inform you after we.
Okay, thank you.
Because all the sessions are there. This is a series.
Thank you,
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, sir. So thank you for giving this wonderful presentation. I have a question, like how should we make decisions in our life? Because like we see, some people are very clear about making the decisions, but when it comes to like some, or like in this case I'm taking my example. So I lack in taking the decisions faster, like stuck at that point and not able to take the decision very accurately without the help of others. So how should we like analyze this decision making and how to improve on that? Can you focus?
Good question. And decision making is a challenge for any of us at any point in time, at any point of life. So the way to approach this is, first and foremost, why do you procrastinate? Why do you delay? Why you don't want to take a decision? That's what you should analyze in your mind. Generally, it is because of fear. And what is fear? False evidence appearing real. So do not really create unnecessary situations which cause fear in your mind. Keep it simple. It's like Arjuna is in the battlefield and he knows well in advance before he came to the battlefield that he is going to fight his relatives. So why have a second thought after you reach the battlefield? Similarly, in your life, whatever is the decision you have to take, you have to say that, let me take out emotions from it. If I do this, this is what I'm going to get. And do I like it? Yes, then I do it. I don't like it, then I will decide to not to do it. Learn to say no, because that's the hard task, hard part. Then, so don't take decision making as something unique to you. It is something which is natural. It's like breathing. We have to decide every day on what to do and what not to do. So why take this pressure, tension, stress? Oh, I'm not able to decide. I want the help of my friends. Then you're trying to get into a dependency syndrome. You say, this is my decision. It applies to me. So I analyze. You may take time. Let's say you are a slow decision maker, as you said. Fine, it doesn't matter. Everyone is unique. So what is wrong in being slow? As long as I am able to achieve what I want. Tortoise is the slowest animal. Has tortoise stopped living in this world? In fact, in Gita, tortoise is given as the best example how to control our emotions by withdrawing within the shell. So maybe your slowness is your strength. Make it your strength. Don't be under the impression that, oh, I am slow, so I am weak. It's your mental makeup. Does it answer your question?
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dinesh.
Yeah.
I'm conscious of time, madam. What do we do?
Oh, take questions. I think somebody's
We'll take one
asking.
more.
Yeah, I think Priyanka is there. What about Nikki? Priyanka, I want to ask one question. Let her ask.
Please go ahead, Priyanka.
Hello, sir. So my question to you is that as the age progresses, like from the childhood to adult to the further stages of life, does the leadership style to be changing according to the situations, according to the physical weakness which comes in the old age? What would you like to suggest on this?
Thank you, Priya. Very good question. Yes. See, situation leadership is a style of leadership, and it applies to all of us, and we must try and practice it. And that's why I give this example of Krishna and Gita. He applies the situational leadership style of management, where he says, in the first case, he manages. How does he manage? He listens, then he coaches, and then he delegates. So in our lives, as we age, and if we feel what used to be our strength is no longer so, then we must adapt accordingly. So it's like different horses for different courses. You have to choose. And how do you choose? By saying, what suits me the best? So you have to maximize the return on every decision that you take. And that style, which helps you to arrive at that decision quickly, is what you should be adopting. Make sense?
Yes, definitely. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Priyanka.
Yes, Nikit, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, good evening, sir. My question is regarding how to develop these leadership skills. Like it is somehow impractical for us. Like if we read so many self-help books and all, then it teaches so many principles. Like we have to do this and that. But when it comes to the application part, then we lag behind if we are not actually the leaders itself. So how to develop that skill? Yes, sir. We in practical life from small things. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good question, Nikki. And it is natural for all of us to have this dilemma. The way we should approach this is we must recognize, realize that we are unique. My style cannot be yours. The moment you come to this equanimity state, then things become simple. Don't try to do something because someone else did it. Don't try to do something because someone else told you to do it. Do what comes to you naturally. Take an example. What did I say? Learning. Make this universe your university. How does water flow? Water always flows from the top to bottom. That is physics. That is defined. Similarly, you should make sure that things flow naturally to you. Use the style you are comfortable with. And there are so much of it, let's say, information, suggestions, insights you come across. Now, you may read, let's say in our studies, we have 5 or 6 subjects. Can you ever say that I like all the 6 subjects equally? No way. Always you tend to have some liking for some subject a little bit more than the other. Similarly, whatever is the flow of information that you get, there are some which you can understand and relate to. Understand may be a light word, that's the first step. But there are some things which you understand and you start liking, and then it slowly starts getting inside. That's the one that you should choose. Answers your question?
Yes, sir. I got the idea that we have to means start from what we can understand, then gradually we can move. I think that's what you are trying to do.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Niket.
Are we done for today?
Yes.
Any more questions? Okay. Let me take this opportunity to thank Sri Shyam Sundar Rao. Wonderful session, excellent session, and question answers were superb. Well done. In fact, we got new insights on leadership skills. Very refreshing, especially this manage, coach, and delegate. I like that very much. Krishna setting example. And we have heard so many leadership skills, but something this was very new, and I think it everybody would have learned in their life to manage self through your management leadership skills. And we're looking forward more such sessions from you. So it was really excellent. We are very sorry we ran short of time and it's late. Like otherwise, we would like to hear more from you, and I'm sure students and faculty will also learn more from you. And we thank you once again.
Thank you very much, madam.
Thank
It's
you
a
so
privilege
much,
and joy to be amongst all of you. I always call these sessions
excellent
immersive.
session. Very nice.
Thank
Very
you.
nice. That's very good term you have said, immersive learning. It's very nice.
Thank you very much.
I'm so, even yesterday went well, today went well. And I think it is shaping up very good, like with a very good speakers. Thank you so much. Like.
Thank you.
And thank you all the participants.
Yes.
And it would be good if you all, come on time, join on time, so that we finish on time, because we start by 7:10, 7:15. We wait for some participants. And we request you all that tomorrow kindly join on time by 7:75 so that we can start on time. Thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. Good night. Yeah.
Good night.